what I want to do today is pull together many threads of what I see happening at this period in history. And for me, 2012 is like the epicenter of this. You know, an epicenter, we're all familiar with epicenters of earthquakes. And the word epi is important because it means sort of roundabout here. You know, an earthquake doesn't have an actual center, but there's sort of an area where the earthquake is centered, and it's like it's coming out from somewhere around there. So when they say, you know, the epicenter of this earthquake was this particular village or something, it's just that's sort of where it was centered, but there's no actual point. And as you get further away from that epicenter, so the vibrations get less, but you can still feel them maybe 100 miles away, 200 miles away, and you can record them with instruments across the planet. So I see 2012 as like an epicenter in time. I often think of it as a cultural earthquake that's happening. It's the epicenter of a cultural earthquake. And the closer we get to that time, the more the crisis is going to deepen, and also the push towards change, transformation is going to increase, that pressure is going to increase. So we're getting closer and closer to the epicenter of the change. And as we move beyond the epicenter, that change is going to keep reverberating. And as with an earthquake, there's no sort of final limits to it. I think the same with 2012, and it's interesting what John pointed out yesterday, that maybe this began on the summer solstice, when the summer solstice sun crossed the center of the galaxy, which was 12,000 years ago at the opposite point, was when maybe the seeds of the decay began to, or seeds of the, not decay, but the falling into the crisis slowly began to happen, and it's been deepening and deepening and faster and faster and faster as we approach this point. So that's how I see 2012 as a sort of a period in history with no discrete boundaries, but something we are clearly heading into. We are in a period of crisis. Clearly, it's been alluded to, referred to several times here, and I don't think we need to go into any of the details about that. We all see that. It's in the news. There's numerous international conferences looking at different aspects of it, whether it's the global warming or resources or deforestation, pollution, water. I was at a conference recently where they laid out 21 different aspects of the crisis, all of which were absolutely critical to the continued survival of humanity or continued survival of Western civilization. Some may be critical to the survival of humanity. But we're in this crisis. But it's been a long time coming. And I think many of us have been aware that it's going to hit us sooner or later. And even with the economic banking crisis we're with at the moment, people are acting with total surprise on television. Oh, the system's flawed. Wow. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been aware that this has been coming most of my life, and talking to people. And any economic system that's based on the charging of interest has to collapse eventually. All the great religions have seen that, which is why one time or another they banned the charging of interest. We've seen this coming. And I mean, even more recently, people I know have been reading papers and things where about 18 months, 2 years ago, people were saying, okay, now's the time it's going to happen, when people started seeing what was going to happen with the subprime mortgages and the ramifications of that through the credit system, through the banks. It's been obvious it's coming. And finally, we're here, or this phase of it is here. And the same thing with energy, oil. Global warming was first forecast over 100 years ago. People didn't take much notice of it then. Oh, it doesn't matter. Won't be that serious. But it was forecast then. So I think it's been coming really for thousands of years. hundreds of thousands of years. I think humanity was, this is its destiny of humanity, to come to this point in time where it has to wake up and make a shift in consciousness. And it comes from a unique characteristic of human beings, which is the fact we are an intelligent species, and I believe there's many intelligent species on this planet, the dolphins and whales particularly, but some of the other mammals. I mean, elephants have an incredible intelligence, memory, they can recognize themselves. What's unique about human beings is we have this little tiny thing. The thumb, the fully opposable thumb, which we can put in opposition to each finger. A chimpanzee can't do that. It can't rotate its thumb. It can't touch its little finger. It can do that. It can grasp things. But this gives this ability to manipulate in very fine ways. And you combine that with intelligence, and you're off on this fateful track. Dolphins and whales have been around probably 20 times longer than we have on the planet. But their thumbs are neatly sealed up safely inside their flippers. You look at the skeleton of a whale or dolphin, they're there, they've got their 4 fingers and a thumb, but they're safe. They can't do anything with them. They can just use them for steering their way through the water and flapping and splashing a bit, but they can't start building underwater freeways and fish farms and all that stuff. As soon as we started making tools, we began this journey to this point.